Atri is the law of human potential, is essentially how I see it. If I had to just, again, try to say these laws in one thing, in one sentence, one word, and that is human potential, or we could simply say potential. And I say that because he has three sons. One's the incarnation of Brahma, the creator. The other one is the incarnation of Shiva, the destroyer. And the last one is the incarnation of Vishnu, the sustainer. That's all human potentials, right? We can create, we can destroy, or we can maintain the continuity of life, of health, and whatever. Culture, society, knowledge, okay? And that's important too, because the next creation is always based on what has been sustained. And the next destruction is of what will needs to be destroyed, and that can no longer be sustained, and instead it metamorphosizes into a new creation that's now necessary. Okay? But if things just disappeared, there'd be nothing to create with, there'd nothing to destroy and be reborn from. Okay, so all three of these are important potentials. And every being has within them all three potentials. That's what this aditya understands. That's why it can be a friend. Okay, that's why it can be a friend, because Atri has these three kids of completely different potentials. And by having these children, it shows that a person is capable of creating any of those potentials, just like Atri did. He created a creative potential, a creative being, a destructive being, and a preservative being. Okay, those are all his creations. Okay, and he was able to see the full potential and have these three children because of his power. And his power is his wife. The Shakti, is the power a being has is always in the wife. Okay? His wife's name means without spite, without envy. When we don't want anything from a person, when we don't harbor any ill against a person, we're not spiteful towards them. We're not having any jealousy about what's better in their life versus what sucks in our life, or wish we had that. Then we can truly see them fully and see their potential and develop the potential that's needed in them to develop. It goes back to the idea that the aditya of this, the aditya, the mitra aditya, always has eyes wide open to humanity, to people. Okay? Why can it have eyes wide open and see truly? Because it has the power, the ability to not be envious, to not be spiteful, to not have ill will, and things like that. Okay? And this envy is a very, very interesting feeling. Okay? Now, usually we think of envy, oh, I wanted that guy or I wanted that job and they got it. That's how we usually think of envy. But envy is not, it goes deeper than that. Okay? If there's someone in your life that's having a good life and you don't think they deserve it, you don't want their life. You're like, it's just not fair that their life is like that, and because they're like this. That's envy. When you think someone's life is unfair and they're getting more than they're supposed to, that's a form of envy. See, when we think of that way towards a person, we can't see their potential fully. Okay? And with this aditya, with this rishi, the potential, because we see all potentials, because it has the ability to see all potential, the law of human potential is, since all potentials are there, no matter what a being is doing, how bad it is, how evil it is, they're only doing that because they're living out that potential. There's still a seed of another potential. And people with this aditya strong, with this rishi strong, don't give up on other people. Because they know that potential's in it. They see it. They don't give up on it. It doesn't matter what those people do. They still believe and don't give up on that person. Someone with this rishi bad gives up on the other people. They're like, they do that. They got lucky with this. They ruined that. They sabotaged that. There's no potential there. That's what this aditya says or this Rishi says, when it's trash. But when it's healthy, it's the love of friendship that comes from the Aditya and the law of all potential from the Rishi, which means that I can see the potential. We just have to put the energy, the will, the focus into it and change the being from inside out and develop that potential. And one of the ways, the easiest way to develop potential is to be around people who are living that potential by having a friend for a while. Okay? Friends are here to bring out potential. That's all. So, doesn't matter who you are. If the zombie apocalypse happens and you end up with a bunch of cannibals, you have the potential for cannibalism. And because of your association with them, next thing you know, you're going to be going from vegan to cannibalism and licking your fingers every time you see a stranger. Okay? We have that potential in us. At the same time, one of those cannibals can end up with a bunch of vegans, and they have the potential to be caring and sensitive to life, to not even want to destroy anything animalistic, any animal to eat it. And that potential's in them, and over time that potential could develop. A lot of our development is because of how the environment, which means the people in the environment, develop that potential. The question is, are the people in the environment, to what potential are they friendly? Are they friendly to the cannibalistic potential or the vegan potential, right? And that's why it's important to have good association. Through good association, our potential can be developed in accordance with that. But how do we know to choose that? Well, we have to look at it clearly and logically. How is living this way benefiting me? What's the actual truthful result of it? Again, use the logic and the observation, which is a quality of Atri. And say, okay, I recognize I have this other potential, even though it doesn't feel like I could ever do it. The truth is I have it. Therefore, if I'm around it, I'll develop it. And then they can go and be around it. And then they can go and find friends and find counselors. A counselor who's a friend who's there until you're capable of not, until you don't need them. That's all a friend is there for. They're there until you don't need them for one thing, and then they're gone. Okay? A companion is there for one thing, your life. Okay? They're there for multifaceted, tons of things throughout your life, and so they're a companion. A friend is there for one thing that's very important. Okay? And it can feel so good when that friend comes back. You want to keep them forever, but they're not there forever. They're for that one important thing. And sometimes that could be a counselor. And who knows? It could be anybody. So we can use logic to seek out right friends, to put ourselves into the environment where our potential will get developed because of how the people around us are living out their potentials. But this Rishi always sees the good potential in a person. Doesn't give up to anyone. Doesn't give up on Ted Bundy. Doesn't give up on anyone like that. Doesn't give up on it. It still recognizes there's potential for everything in this person. It just has to be developed. Okay? And that's really the highest expression of friendship, is someone who can see that you're capable of greater potential and who can help you find that potential and develop it. Everyone, we can't all help everyone develop that potential though. That's the thing. You know? We just can't. We can't always be the one to do that. You know, we only can be a friend to the person that we fit, that we can be the catalyst to make that shift. And people can only be our friends if they have the catalyst, if they're the catalyst to be our friend and help us with that shift, that development of potential. Okay? And so, sometimes it's a tricky thing to know when we can be a friend and when we can't. How do we find out? We observe and we watch. And we say, what happened? What did I do? What was the response? And then we say, okay, the response wasn't good. It was a waste of energy on both parts. Nothing improved. I'm obviously not the catalyst here. Okay? But somebody else is. I recognize they have potential, but it's for someone else to be the catalyst, not me. And that's what people who are in self or in helping other industries have to learn. To know when sometimes they can't help someone. I used to try to help everybody. And I realized, wow, there's some people I'm simply not meant to help. I had a friend, someone came along as a friend, helped me tremendously, helped me get out of the room with 100 doors, you know, the burning room with 100 doors. Shows up, helps me get out of the room with 100 doors. So of course I want to return the favor, you know, because I deal, you know, I deal in fairness, you know. So I want to return the favor. And for years I'm trying to help this person with their shit. Never even made any progress. We're talking like a decade. And finally I realized, you know, I'm just not the person who's going to help this person. You know, I'm just not the right catalyst. And finally I said, look, go try this, you know. Just sent that person down the road to find something else, okay? So it's important that we learn where we can help people, where we can't. We have to be observant, we have to watch, and we have to just simply realize that everyone is not everyone's catalyst. Everyone is not everyone's friend. And we simply have to have the approach of being the willingness to be a friend. And when we are, it's a catalyst. It just works. That's the beautiful thing about it. It's kind of like, it's like chemistry. It's like epoxy. Okay, you got 2 parts epoxy in your tube. You put some out, you start mixing it, and you feel it, and now it's warm. It just, the minute those things contact each other, the catalyzing action happens and things start changing. Things start shifting. That's how friendship is. As soon as those 2 parts meet, catalyzing is happening. It's not about, oh, I'm going to be this friend, how am I going to be this person's friend? It happens naturally, and that's naturally being the way we are. Okay? And it's so crazy. The crazy thing is, someone's pathologies might be the catalyst we need. That we blend with, that merges us, that helps us develop a deeper potential or to heal from something. It's not always their good stuff. It could be their pathologies that are the right catalyst, because we have a certain kind of pathology, they have a certain kind of pathology, and those pathologies work together to transform. Okay? So, how do you know? You use the anvisika, which means you simply observe, you acquire, you're reasonable, you don't let yourself fall into, you know, crazy beliefs and hopes and dreams and wishes and child mind nonsense of romance. Look at the hard, cold facts. And you see what's really happening here. And then you can find out, am I a friend or am I not a friend? Okay? Really important part of this aditya. Okay? So, if you have someone in your life who has something good in this aditya, you're really, really lucky, because you have someone in your life who is going to, no matter what you go through, what state you fall into, who's always going to see something beautiful, a beautiful thing in you, a good thing in you, that makes them want to know you and makes them want to be there for you how they're able to be a friend. Okay? If you have this aditya, this rishi good, then you're even more lucky, because everyone you meet, you're going to see an element of goodness, of good potential in them. You're not going to have bitterness towards them. You won't be envious and think they don't deserve that. You won't harbor a lot of ill feelings that we are capable of harboring about other people. You'll come back to the thing, this person has a beautiful something in them, they have the potential, there's something good in them. And if you can, you'll be happy to help them develop it. Okay?